8 of us continued our intrepid tour of Egypt and Jordan by flying from Cairo to Amman, Jordan, where our intrepid rep processed through immigration and got us to our shuttle bus to our meeting point, the Signature Hotel. Our Jordan intrepid crew now included 8 from our Egypt group, Matt from Australia, Dan, Cassia, and Andrea from Canada, Thorsten and Sabine from Germany, Nick from the UK, and me. Joining us were Lynn from Belgium, Morgan from the US, and Sandra and Daniela from Germany. Our intrepid guide was Farah Musa. Musa walked with us to the Rainbow Street area to the rooftop Jabal restaurant for some great food and views of the city. Afterwards, we stopped at this tasty pastry bakery just a short distance from a demonstration over the war between Israel and Hamas. Musa adeptly guided us away from this and other demonstrations during our stay in Jordan. Musa informed Andrea that her planned continuation of her intrepid tour to Israel was canceled because of the war. Musa observed that the security around King Abdullah's palace had significantly increased as he was one of the negotiators between Israel and Hamas. The following morning, our drive south to Aqaba on the Red Sea was about 4.5 hours, passing through some very dry, desolate, and hilly areas. In 1965, King Hussein swapped 12 kilometers of coastline and southern border from Aqaba for 3,700 square miles of Jordanian desert with Saudi Arabia. Today, that Red Sea coastline is dotted with beautiful resorts that are popular tourist destinations, and we visited one. The Aqaba fort was built in 1510 and became widely known as a major victory over the Ottomans during the Arab Revolt of 1917, where T.E. Laurence was one of the leaders in this raid that ousted the Turks from Jordan. This is the expanded Red Sea port that only became viable after the land swap. We enjoyed a tasty lunch followed by swimming and snorkeling in the crystal clear waters of the Red Sea. This was by far the clearest water I have ever snorkeled in, compared to places in Southeast Asia, Mexico, Greece, Turkey, and Hawaii. Just look at the videos I took using my GoPro 10 camera. Some of the coral varieties I think I saw include staghorn, brain, stony, soft, fire, leaf, curtain, cauliflower, and mountain. We then drove about an hour and a half to Wadi Rum, just as the sun was setting. We transferred to four-wheel vehicles with deflated tires to cross the desert to our Wadi Rum Mohammed Mutlaq desert camp. We spent 2 nights in the desert camp where we hiked and explored this unique desert. Wadi Rum has been the backdrop to several movies, including Laurence of Arabia, Star Wars, Dune, Mission to Mars, Martian, and more recently, John Wick Chapter 4. You can Google to see more movies that were shot there. Here are the dining room and cabin accommodations. Our cabin window looks out to the 7 Pillars of Wisdom rock formation. During our walkabout in the Wadi Rum Desert, we saw several other Bedouin desert camps like ours that have been set up for tourists to enjoy the otherworldly desert with its beauty and solitude.
Maybe less than 50k from here, the border with Saudi Arabia. Do you want to go Saudi Arabia?
That's not the ancient one. Yeah. Yeah. No, I will explain this when we go.
I never take pictures of myself. I never remember.
We came across numerous wind and weather carved formations and began to see that Musa, our guide, really liked to take group shots at many of the scenic places we would visit during our Jordan Intrepid adventure. We came to a caravan of hobbled dromedary camels that were grazing in this part of the desert. We could hardly see the sparse vegetation that they were grazing on. I named this camel buddy of mine Joe Camel after the popular Camel cigarette ads.
In the sky.
Cloud?
Yeah,
Oh
no
my God,
cloud.
the blue color. Look.
It's amazing.
So
This is the
nice.
beauty of the place.
Musa showed us this water cache, which was one of several found around the Wadi Rum Protected area. This one is currently empty. Our Bedouin driver made us coffee and served us cookies using a small fire to heat the water. The Fruth rock bridge was the first of 3 rock bridges we would see. This one has been used as a backdrop to some of the movies I have listed. After our walkabout and coffee break, our Bedouin driver took us to other scenic spots, including a big rock outcropping we climbed, the other 2 rock bridges, and the Al Hassani sand dunes. At the Al Hassani sand dunes, I followed Sabine and Thorsten for a plunge step run back down the sand dunes.
Perché stai facendo sta cosa?
These are the sandstones contain minerals, and minerals when they rainfall and then dissolve, and this is why, like.
We then drove to the entrance of the Al Khazali Sikh, named for a narrow canyon passage, where Musa got another group shot, and we walked along with many others up the Sikh until it became a rock climb.
No, non tienimi solo la manina, grazie.
We We stopped at the smallest rock bridge called Little Rock Bridge, where Musa had me try on a Palestinian kieffia headscarf at a nearby gift and coffee shop. Originally worn on the head like I'm doing, it has now become a symbol of support for Palestine and worn over the shoulders. We are now at the largest rock bridge called Berta Rock Bridge, which is the largest and is perched about 260 feet above the surrounding rock. To reach the top requires using both hands and feet to climb up the steep route. We all chose to view this rock bridge from the bottom. After returning to our desert camp, we went to a nearby rock outcropping to view the sunset. After dinner, we enjoyed sitting around the campfire until the smoke seemed to chase us, no matter where we sat. But while there, I saw a shooting star and marveled at the sky-filled Milky Way. In the morning, we left our desert camp, but only after Musa got us another group shot that included the Bedouin camp staff and drivers, as well as a Musa selfie. Hey Raja, what's the name of that?
Shalalat.
Shalalat, okay.
Qatar.
Qatar.
They did the same with dogs and cats.
Wait, what?
They did the same with dogs and cats.
Wait, what?
Peter was sharing a sleeping carriage with 5 guys. 5 random men, not even a group.
At the Rum village, we transferred back to our minibus and made a stop at the train station that was featured in the Laurence of Arabia movie. Today, you can book a tour on the train where a Laurence of Arabia and Bedouins attack the train you are riding on. In this 1919 photo, T.E. Lawrence is the third person from the right at the Paris Peace Conference. From Wadi Rum, we drove north about 2 hours to Petra, where we explored this amazing UNESCO Heritage Site for 2 days. For our first afternoon, Musa, our guide, walked us through the entire area and gave us a bit of historical information. The following day, we were on our own to explore some of the other sites. We first passed by the Dijon Blocks area with its big sandstone monument.
This is like gods guarding the entrance of the religious city, guys. Or we can see also it's a funeral monument.
We are in front of the obelisk tomb carved by the Nabateans. Although our admission pass would have allowed us to ride a donkey down to the entrance of the canyon area, we chose to walk. We arrived at the mile-long Seek, which was a narrow gorge formed by the movement of tectonic plates and not a river like many canyons are formed.
These rocks contains minerals. The main components of the...
With the establishment of the heritage site by 1985, the Bedouins who lived in and around the 800 registered sites were moved to a nearby location with the provision that they would hold all of the concessions within the heritage area. These concessions include the donkey and camel wranglers, the golf cart drivers, the restaurant and food vendors, and the tourist trinket vendors.
right.
As we walked through the narrow passageway, we were awestruck when we got our first glimpse of the treasury that had been carved into the mountains. Well, at the treasury, the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas encroached when a Palestinian protester with a flag was disrupting the area. In response, the camel drivers began beating him up until the police took the protester away. The camel drivers were worried that these kinds of protests would drive tourists away and jeopardize their livelihoods. Once again, Musa provided us with a great group shot with the treasury as a backdrop.
I really want to take a
How do you? Good. You have many things.
السجن معلم اسمع حط له معك مصاري مرات وهن برا مبطول تغلب حد يجيب والله بيشكرات
The street of facades is lined with Nabatean tombs carved into the mountain face.
She was She was the wife of the king Arabs. When her husband died, she passed through the kingdom, and she became the queen. And even you can see the picture of the queen and the king on the coins.
The original colonnaded street was created by the Nabateans and later embellished during the Roman era around 106 AD. Again, the Nabateans were the original theater builders over 2,000 years ago that had seating for 3,000 people and was later expanded by the Romans beginning in 106 AD to hold over 8,500 people.
Not decorated like the crow steps or the classical one or the oriental one.
Is that Joe Camel again? The many tombs all along the Al-Katuba mountain are called the royal tombs because they are the most elaborate and largest tombs found in Petra.
What we call the royal tomb. This is the name given from the local also. Like in front of the treasury, they discovered 3 tombs in 2003. Yeah. Of course. It could be a street or paved because I saw pavement, guys, in some places.
Along the colonnaded street, we came to the Nymphium with its pistachio tree some 450 years old. This was a public water fountain. This monument was the most important temple in Petra, built around 30 BC and dedicated to Dushara and other lesser gods by the Nabateans. It's one of the few freestanding temples and is about 75 feet high. On the second day, just before entering the narrow Petra Sikh, Matt and I watched these Praetorian guards go through their paces. This is the start of the 1 mile trail that led us up to the monastery that was built in the 3rd century BC as a Nabatean tomb. It got its name from the Christian crosses carved on the inside walls and was used as a church during the Byzantine era. Matt and I climbed up over 800 steps that were carved into the rocks.
Hey, Sonny. Yeah. Hey, Sonny. Yeah.
We passed several Bedouin-guided donkey trains ridden by adventurous riders. Too steep and slippery for me.
Everyone's going in the shop.
I had told these 2 Bedouin vendors that I would stop on the way back down to look at their stuff, and they held me to my promise. I bought a camel figurine from each of them. Matt and I finally got to the monastery and met up with several other Intrepid crew members, Sabine and Thorsten, who were heading down, and Dan, Sandra, Daniela, Morgan, Lynn, and Nick were taking a break at the Monastery Cafe and exploring the surroundings. The monastery was similar to the Treasury, but far bigger at 164 feet wide and 148 feet high. There were far fewer tourists here since the 1 mile climb and 800 steps dissuaded many.
Yeah, okay, look, this is very nice. Jump photo.
Well, I wish these people weren't in it and it was just a donkey.
Right, I'm just going to run up to that view.
Send me the photo. No, I'm going down. Yeah, okay, look, this is very nice.
Sorry, Daniel.
Yeah, it is. It's the same sample from Without Me by Nebo, but it's Jordanian.
We stopped at the Petra Byzantine church, built around the end of the 5th century. The building was destroyed by fires and earthquakes in the following century. This awning cover protects the beautiful Byzantine mosaics. After a day of hiking, 3 of us, Andrea, Cassia, and me, went for a Turkish bath and massage, which was wonderful. It included a steam room, a soapy rub-down, and rigorous massage. I felt like a limp rag. Musa then took our group to the My Mom's Recipe restaurant for dinner.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome to Jordan.
Yeah, don't burn them.
On the way in, the fellow cooking the pita bread gave me and Nick samples as we made our way up to the rooftop and another Musa group shot.
It's in the building. It shows you look at it, and then they're like, then they backtrack, and then they go behind the scenes.
We headed north from Petra to end up in Madaba after first visiting the Kerak Crusader Castle, swimming at the Dead Sea Spa Resort, and touring Mount Nebo where Moses saw the Promised Land. After a 2.5-hour drive, we entered the Kerak Crusader Castle across a bridge that spanned a dry moat. Crusaders controlled the Kerak Castle in most of the 12th century until they were defeated by the Muslims in 1188 AD with help from the Mamluks, a mercenary army also filled with slaves. The high mountain position, ample water sources, and thick castle walls rebuked several sieges over the years.
And these are the presences to the left-hand side. You can go inside and return back, guys. Shoba Castle till 1935, they used.
This is the prison.
The crops in the Moab plains, actually, as we mentioned, and they store their food.
From a height of 3,000 feet above sea level, we drove about an hour to the Dead Sea Spa Resort, some 1,312 feet below sea level. After swimming in the Dead Sea, we enjoyed the spa's inviting pools and slides. From the dressing rooms, we passed several of these signs that showed how much water loss has occurred from evaporation. Along the shore, we saw these sea salt crystals that gourmet cooks would delight in having. Before we swam, the staff warned us not to put our heads underwater since the salt water was so toxic and corrosive. We enjoyed lathering up on the Dead Sea mud, which we later showered off in the nearby freshwater showers. Okay.
Yeah?
No, not yet.
We enjoyed taking pictures of each other floating high with ease while reading a book.
I think you have to like go in the restaurant and like sit down.
Oh. After showering off the Dead Sea mud and salt water, we enjoyed lounging at the big pool, and some of us enjoyed the water slide. Whoa! After dressing, we drove just over an hour to Mount Nebo, where Moses saw the Promised Land.
And this is a good indication. Guys, at the bottom of the valley, can you see big tree, eucalyptus tree over there? The big tree.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
This is what we call it Moses Spring. Jerusalem opposite to the Dead Sea from the other side. Sometimes early in the morning you could see the houses like Jerusalem opposite to the Dead Sea from the other side. Sometimes early in the morning you could see the houses like Jerusalem opposite to the Dead Sea from the other side. Sometimes early in the morning Jerusalem opposite to the Dead Sea from the other side. Sometimes early in the morning you could see
The inclusion of the serpent on the cross with Jesus is a symbol of when Moses lifted a serpent in the desert. So shall man be lifted up in spirit.
opposite to the Dead Sea from the other side. Sometimes early in the morning you could see the houses like Jerusalem opposite to the Dead Sea.
The Moses Memorial Church has several beautiful mosaics on the floor and walls, as well as the round stained glass window. This church map shows how close we are to the other holy sites of Jericho and Jerusalem, all circled in blue. After a short ride to Aqaba, we checked into the Salome Hotel. We then walked over to the Byzantine St. George Church, where we saw some remarkable mosaics of the 4th century, which included a mosaic map of Jerusalem and the Holy Lands. The following morning, we drove north about an hour to Jerash, past Amman and by the Palestine refugee camps established in 1947 and 1967.
The problem is going on even nowadays in Gaza. The 2.2 million in Gaza, 70% they are refugees in their land also. These are the Palestinians, the war in 1947, 1967.
We started our tour of Jerash at Hadrian's Gate, which included another Musa group shot. Jerash is the site of one of the best preserved Roman cities in the world that existed over 2,000 years ago. After passing through the gate, we came to the massive hippodrome that was used for Roman games.
The place after the difference between the hippodrome and the normal amphitheater have certain different functions. This is the place fighting the animals or fighting the gladiators, which is fighting here. But the theater, religious function or political function, actually like the North Theater. But this is the place the chariot race, athletic competitions, Jerash and Roman legions. But this is amazing spot here, as you can see all the ages that and why we call it Roman age because of the sciences, famous scientists in that.
We came to the Forum, which served as a gathering and marketplace and another opportunity for group shots, including a Musa selfie.
Governor, they come with the carts, guys. Look here, there's two sidewalks, and these are the shops to the right and to the left. Guys, this is the food market, the mausoleum. It's dated back to 160 AD from the pyramids was heavily covered with the sand. When they did excavation, imagine all these.
The butcher tabletop is missing, but you can imagine where it was by looking at the vertical legs.
Guys, this is the food market, the mausoleum. It's dated back to 160 AD from the.
This is the source for public water used in the nearby marketplace and residences across the way. The name Cardo Maximus was a reference to the roadway, which is the heart of the city. The Temple of Artemis was dedicated to the goddess of hunting and fertility, and she was the daughter of Zeus and Leto.
You can see the hydraulic saw, they use it to cut the stones. Also there's a choir.
The North Theater was built around 165 AD and enlarged in 235, and most likely was used for government meetings rather than entertainment, unless you think government meetings are entertainment. The South Theater was built between 81 and 96 AD and could hold 5,000 spectators. The acoustics are good and put to the test with bagpipers playing for tips here. For our last night on the tour of Jordan, Musa treated us to dinner at the Fokar and Bar restaurant. In addition to group photo shots inside and outside the restaurant, we enjoyed plate after plate of delicious mezes, including baba ganoush, hummus, falafel, shrimp, kofta, vegetables, and other tasty delights. The restaurant owners joined us in our last group shot. The following morning, I headed to the airport in a taxi with a few others for my Turkish air flight to Istanbul at 3 p.m. I arrived in Istanbul at 6 p.m. and my flight to Seattle was not until 2 p.m. the following day, a 20-hour layover. This was the only flight immediately available after I decided to leave 7 days earlier than planned because of the turbulent situation in the Middle East. Airport hotel cost was over $320, but I found these sleep pods where I could comfortably sleep overnight for just under $100. I passed the time by having some Turkish coffee along with a mango drink and a mushroom omelet. I found a comfortable lounge area where I could read, watch the flights, and watch people go by. Day with a great view of Mount Rainier while I waited for the light rail that would take me home. It was another great Intrepid tour, made especially enjoyable by the people from all over the world that joined me, and our friendly and knowledgeable guide, Musa.